If you haven't already seen the first episode in this mini-series, then you bloody should go watch it. You really should go watch it. But just in case you haven't yet, because you will after this one, I will tell you what we're going to do in this video. We are looking at songs that I personally think had potential to be smash hits, to be massive, to be huge, streaming giant songs, to be topping the charts, to be everywhere you go in your Tesco shopping or your entry to the clubs or the bars or whatever, wherever you go, you should have been hearing these songs, although some of them actually aren't those kinds of types of songs, but regardless, they should have been big anyway. And that's what we're looking at. 5 songs that I personally think should have been huge. Basically, that's it. There's no wasting time here. There's nothing else to say. All I can say is you should tell me what you think in the comments that should have been huge, what your thoughts on these tracks are, and check out my Patreon as well if you want to request like series or lists or other videos like this in the future. You can be part of it, and you can go check out the link in the description and decide if you would like to support me over on there. Similarly to some of the songs in the first video, we do have a song here that technically was a hit, and it technically did make it onto the charts, but it was a minor hit and wasn't anywhere near as big as it really bloody should have been. And Sacrifice by The Weeknd is the perfect example of that. The 4 songs I'm picking after this aren't going to be like this one though, so that's why I wanted to start with this one. I wanted to start with something that was pretty big, but why the hell wasn't this on the level of a Blinding Lights? I really don't know. I think the familiarity and the explosiveness of a song like Blinding Lights probably helped carry that along. And don't get me wrong, Blinding Lights is great, by the way, but I just don't really know how he wasn't able to follow up the same kind of success on his next album, Dawn FM, which basically continued that trend of 80s synthy new wave bangers that were just explosive and fiery and so much fun to listen to from start to end. It was basically a whole album of tracks like Save Your Tears and Blinding Lights, and I just don't know how this album did less of a splash than that. It's bizarre. It's a really perplexing thing. It's still The Weeknd though. He's still huge. He's massive. He's one of the biggest artists in the world, doing huge numbers for his tours. Like, it's crazy actually at the moment how huge he really is. But Sacrifice still wasn't really that big. It was like top 20 in the UK. I don't really know where it landed in America. I don't think it was as big over there as it was here, but I just don't understand how you don't have a #1 hit from this, really. It's so Quincy Jones inspired, you know, the MJ influences once again coming through for The Weeknd here. It always has, pretty much, since like the early days when he covered Dirty Diana. Like, it's always been there for sure. But yeah, this one just kind of takes that in full force, has an absolute infectious groove that is just so danceable. The melodies constantly change up. There's like 3 or 4 different hooks on this track, honestly. The notes he reaches, god damn. Maybe the issue was that this wasn't the lead single. This probably should have been the lead single over Take My Breath, and maybe we would have seen a different outcome. Take My Breath is good too, by the way, but I think this one is the more fitting of a lead single. Just that rhythm, the bass coming through, it's so infectious and dancey and groovy. Yeah, this went platinum for me. I played the song loads of times, but I don't know how this wasn't a platinum single anywhere else. It's crazy. 'Cause you're my sunset, fiery red, forever. We've got an artist here who is receiving so much critical acclaim, even from the likes of me with her most recent album, and is on the cusp of really becoming something bigger. But it still feels like we've had 3 or 4 different songs at this point that could have been the big breakthrough hit for Caroline, and not one of them has been. I think her release schedule was actually pretty clever for this album, where she sporadically released singles across different, you know, years, and, you know, spread them out for like 6 months apart, because I think it possibly had the chance to give each one their own like shelf life and have their own moment, and then potentially become quite big. And Sunset was kind of like that, you know, she released it in well in advance of the album, and it was probably a tactical move in hopes that one of them would, you know, become the big smash hit. And this one had it written all over it. I don't really know how you don't get at least in the top 40 for a song like this, and it doesn't even make it anywhere on any charts anywhere. It's just crazy. But the sort of festival ready nature of the track, I mean, you can just tell she would use this as a staple for all the festivals that she plays at. It's just so rich and gorgeous in how it sounds. The vocal notes that she reaches are just absolutely spellbinding. Like, it's crazy, honestly, that this track and Caroline in general, it isn't reaching a wider audience, because she is one of the best vocalists out there at the moment by far. And yet, you know, a lot of people who consume music casually do regard vocals as being one of the most important things. I mean, look at an artist like Lewis Capaldi. I'm not going to say too much about Lewis Capaldi, because, you know, but you know, a lot of the reason as to why he's so successful is because people love his voice. And yet you've got Caroline here who is surpassing pretty much everyone else in pop music when it comes to vocals right now. And yeah, she isn't really getting that success, but this is probably one of her most accessible, poppy and exciting tracks. And yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Another example here of an artist that has it all in them to be way bigger than they are, and yet we don't seem to be seeing it, and I don't know why. Another artist as well in this video that I could have said 5 or 6 different songs, which, you know, for future videos, and maybe I will mention them again, but a different track. And a woman I thought was a good pick, even though she has plenty of songs that you could choose from, because of how smooth and elegant, and again, I've used this word already, but rich this track sounds. The production is absolutely stellar, and one of the best qualities of this track as well is that Cleo Soul feature. Cleo Soul is already featured on Little Simz songs in the past. She has really good songs in her own solo work as well. Check her out, by the way, if you never have. Some really great stuff. And yeah, that chorus is just so beautiful, like so strong in how she presents her vocals. It's just a stunner. But everything else about this track, for me, especially in the UK right now, we see so much success for UK rappers, and, you know, some like grime influenced artists coming through too. You've even got like some Afro beats coming through into the hip hop world in the UK right now. Like, it is eclectic at the moment, to be honest with you. There's so many names that at any given time will get a huge hit. You know, AJ Tracy, you've got Burna Boy collaborating with Dave. Like, there's just so much, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. There's more names. Stormzy, obviously, too. Like, this is a market right now in the UK. There is a lot of artists that can step into it and become huge because it's so successful. And why isn't Little Simz one of them? I don't really know. I don't really get it. But yeah, I think with the fact that this track is so positive and how it's kind of like uplifting women, it's quite beautiful as well. Like, there's a lot to this track that you would think, this has the makings of being a hit. She performed it so well at the Brit Awards too. You'd think maybe that would have helped it go a bit more viral. I don't know, man. I don't know what she has to do at this point. But yeah, Little Simz really has plenty of songs that should be huge. Perhaps it's, you know, a woman stepping into like UK hip hop where it's just flooded with men. I don't know. I don't know what the real issue is here for her to get success. Female rappers are having a great time at the moment. You know, you've got Ice Spice, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Glorilla's coming through too. There's so many new names. Coil Ray's coming through too. Like, there is a market for this. Maybe just in the UK, we're just not accepting a female UK rapper. I don't know what. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why? I don't know. But this song should have been huge. You ain't
no good for me. I know it's true.
Yes, I'm repeating myself, but we have another artist here who I could have mentioned like 10 different songs for, okay? Kaytranada, you're the one. This whole album really should have been a smash hit and should have been like, you know, one of the biggest selling albums of the 2010s because it has all the makings for that. Kaytranada is a recognizable name. He's a household name now in music production. He's collaborated with so many different artists now. I think there are plenty of, you know, mainstream artists that would be looking to him to maybe jump on one of their songs. Like, he is that kind of name. He's not obscure, he's not totally irrelevant, he is relevant. He's done so many remixes too that have gone pretty viral, but he's never really had a hit. And I picked this song just because of how sort of chill and low-key and vibey it is, that I think there is an audience for this type of stuff for sure. Like, there is absolutely an audience out there that could have tapped into this, but it's also danceable. It's got that like early Disclosure feel to it as well. Like this, for me, if anything, should have been a hit in the UK because there is lots of stuff that sounds like this. And, you know, Kaytranada, you know, has appeal across all countries really. But yeah, to me, it just sounded like something that you see creep up in the UK charts because there's stuff that always creeps up in the charts that sounds like this, or has done over the past few years. And maybe not in this current year in the UK, but yeah, previously for sure. It's danceable, it's catchy. I don't really see where you couldn't find a hit for this. I don't get it, man. Alright, closing out then with Aries. I've spoken about Aries so much on this channel, you know, and I already tipped him for an artist to be huge. I think he could be huge one day, and the only way he's going to get there is if I keep shoving him down your throats. But he needs a bit more than that because, you know, I'm not going to get anyone mainstream from this channel for sure. But Aries, the most recent song across both the lists I've done in this series so far. This came out only this year. In fact, it only came out like 3 or 4 months ago or something like that. And yeah, I just had a sneaking suspicion that there was going to be something bigger for this song. I kind of knew in the back of my head though, I was like, it's probably not going to be, but you know, it should have been bigger than it was. He does a great video as well on his channel, by the way, talking through the way he made this song. I know a lot of people don't really care about that kind of thing, but if you're nerdy like me and you do find that stuff interesting, I'd recommend you watching that video. He talks about how he produces it, how he layers all the instrumentation together to create the sound that it creates, but it really sounds so good. It sounds great. The chorus is super catchy. He's got that kind of like, you know, SoundCloud days vibe to his sound that maybe he's a bit late to the train, possibly. I mean, I think he's fantastic anyway without that comparison, but it's one of those, is that like, if he was a few years earlier, like 2018, and this was coming out, could this have been bigger than back then? I don't really know. But even still, he's got a lot of charisma. The chorus, like his hook game is insane. Like this chorus is so sing-alongy. He has a sort of rap sing flow to his sound too, which again, there's a lot of artists that have that kind of style that are super huge and popular. Yeah, I just think Aries has plenty of songs at this point that could have been way bigger than they were. I thought this one had, again, lots of potential to be that song too. But it hasn't quite happened for him yet. I'm not sure what will or when it will. But I think it's inevitable one day. And maybe I'll be looking back at this video and going, ah, it wasn't Snake Eyes, but it was whatever else it's going to be in the future. So yeah, I definitely have high hopes for him still, but would have liked to have seen it happen for him at this point already, really. And that's it. That is it. That is my video. These are my 5 picks on top of the already 5 songs I mentioned in the previous video. If you haven't seen that, please go click on it and watch it. It would be great to see your thoughts there. So there you go. You've got 10 songs now from me that I think should have been way bigger than they were. And to be honest, I wrote down another list so this series can keep going if there's interest in it, because there's loads of songs that I think should have been bigger than they were. And I would love to see your thoughts as well. If you've got ideas that you want to share with me, songs that you want to share with me, please put them in the comments, because again, I can include them in future videos if I think I agree with them or if I think they could have been big too. So there you go. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and subscribe, check out more videos on the channel. Have a good day. Goodbye.